Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 296 of the Board Game BBQ podcast. My name is Lauren, and I'm joined tonight by two hosts from various states. I've got with me Dan. Dan, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Loz?
I'm good, thank you. Very excited. It's been a hot minute since I've chatted to you on a pod.
I feel
Regular
like it.
format.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's very true. Yeah.
It's great. And I'm also joined by Dana. Dana, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah.
I think you answered that already. Sorry.
Ready to...
The answer might be different for you.
Yeah, Dana's
That's
terrible.
right. Yeah.
You know, it's like when you say, how are you? You respond with, how are you? You don't really
that's
ask or
right.
whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm certainly ready to chat about some cracking games. Dana, you've got one there that's actually a real favourite of mine. What have you been playing recently?
The first one I was going to talk about is called The Bloody Inn. I'm not sure if either of you have actually played this game or if this is the one you're actually referring to.
It is.
But the theme of this game is certainly original. I'll give it that. So you're an innkeeper and you decide that, well, just being an innkeeper and taking in guests isn't really good enough. It's not going to make me a good living. I'll decide maybe I'll just murder them and keep their money. And that's the better way to go.
Cool.
So in this game, you're going to try and murder some of the clients in the inn, but you need to try and do it without getting caught. You've got police officers staying in neighbouring rooms. To sort of prevent yourself from being caught, you need to hire peasants and other people as accomplices to help you. They help you kill people. This sounds terrible, doesn't it? They help you kill people, but they can also build extensions for you. So it gives you extra space to bury bodies. The gameplay is really, really great. What I love about this game, I love the game itself. It's great. But my favourite part of this game is the table talk around it. So I was playing this game 2-player and I just remember just sort of stopping for a moment, and I love listening to people when they talk about what they're doing and they describe what they're doing, or maybe they describe their thought processes. But in this particular game, the lady that I was playing with was sort of looking at her cards and she said, oh, look, that guy doesn't give me any space to bury dead bodies. I knew I should have killed that busboy when I had the chance. And it's just so funny. We just couldn't help but laugh. You know, if you were playing this in a coffee shop or something like that, it would be just so
Someone will be on the
funny.
phone to the police.
Yeah. I don't know if you know of any other games like that, or if you have games like that just, I don't know, the table talk is just, you know, almost inappropriate, but it's so funny. Have either of you played it?
No, I haven't. Sounds like my kind of game.
I really think it is your kind of game, Dan. Just the theme is outrageous. You're running a motel, you're bringing in guests, and then you're killing them and burying them under your motel to hide them from the cops that go. Sensational. But not only are you doing that, you're trying to rob their bodies in the process.
Yes.
Just great, because that's the whole thing, right? It's whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins.
Correct. And certain people are good at killing and they'll help you.
It feels a bit Sweeney Todd.
Yes.
Yeah. It's probably got that vibe to it. And the artwork is actually quite unusual. I think it's very fitting of the theme.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know I'm familiar with is the artwork. As soon as you said Bloody Inn, I can picture the box cover, but I had no idea what game it was. Does it play solo?
It does play solo, quite well solo. It's a tough little solo puzzle of kind of hand and tableau management, which is really interesting. The expansion, which is the Carnies, I would only recommend if you're doing multiplayer though, because a lot of the abilities have to relate to other players.
Right.
The other one that I grabbed out just yesterday, which I haven't played in a long time, I don't know about you, but I'm not one to play a game repeatedly over and over again. I just don't do it. I play a game, I learn it. I might play it a few times and it goes back into the shelf And then 6 months later, it comes back out again. And this is Woodcraft by Vladimir Suchi.
So what you're saying is you're not deaf.
I am definitely not deaf. I don't know why. I just, whether I don't have those types of games, but it just doesn't happen. I just generally like to play something different, crack out something different. So anyway, Woodcraft. Now I'm a big Vladimir Suchi fan. So Underwater Cities and Messina 1347 and those types of games. But here you're playing, it's a Euro, of course, yeah. So you're playing as forest people and you're running competing workshops in the woods. And so you're going to be gathering wood and crafting goods for your customers. You can hire helpers and improve your workshop and buy different types of woods and tools to create the best workshop you can. It's largely just contract fulfillment, but I love the dice manipulation in it. And it's got this really cool rondelle in it as well. Like your action selection is a rondelle, but it looks like a circular saw and it's really cool. And believe it or not, I don't really understand it, but with the money is blueberries. I don't really know why they're blueberries, but the money in it is blueberries. And I've got these great upgraded blueberries because in the box you get these cardboard flat blueberries. They're not good.
Oh, trash.
Yeah, you can't do it. Or what's that Indian website?
Alibaba?
Alibaba, that's it. Alibaba.
Oh, okay.
And I got myself some rubber blueberries. They're so good.
Squishy little berries.
Yeah, they're squishy berries. They're great. I'd forgotten about how much I enjoy these old games, and I have to get back to them, but I'm restricted, and I'll tell you why. I've done this thing. I was talking to Lauren about this, that I was watching Foster the Meeple, and they did this thing where they reorganized all their games, and they marked all their games that they needed to play with like colored Post-it notes or stickers. And so I spent like a week reorganizing my games. And what I've done is everything that hasn't been played has a sticker on it, and they're on the top. So if you think about a Kallax shelf that's got 4 games horizontally, all the ones that I've played are on the bottom, and I am not allowed to take them out until I've played the ones on the top.
It's like a visual merchandising trick.
Yes.
When I used to work at a video store, we used to make sure that the ones we wanted to actually be hired would be on the shelf that are at eye level, because people don't look at the bottom of the shelf first. They walk in the store and they look directly in front. So you put the ones there that they're automatically going to reach for. So it makes sense. The ones you want to play, you put on the top shelf where it's at eye level. Bit of a middle shelf for you, Dana. But
the problem is that, like, I wanted to play Ark Nova with a friend, but I couldn't bring my copy because it was underneath the one with the note on it.
yeah.
So I sort of quickly messaged her and I said, you have to bring it. I can't bring mine. You have to do it.
So are you using are there different colors of Post-it notes for different?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I've got some.
So what's
ones.
the system?
Oh, well, the system is that these have been on the shelf a long time.
Mm.
It's basically a time frame. I have ones that are seriously, desperately need playing. And actually, funnily enough, one of them was my oath. So I managed to get that off the shelf, which is good. And it released 3 games underneath it. So now I can play those.
It's just more to encourage you to play new things rather than cycle back to old stuff.
It's really to get through my shelf of shame, to be honest. But the reward is, to me anyway, I don't know whether this sounds stupid or not.
Absolutely
but
not.
anyway, if I play something that's got a sticker on it, then I release the ones underneath. I don't have to learn them because I already know them and I can play them. It's like a reward that I can go back to those old ones. But at the moment, I'm stuck because they're all underneath stickered games and I'm just stuck. So I've got to get those ones out. I've got to do it. So anyway, Woodcraft. Yeah. Sorry. Woodcraft. Great. I highly recommend that too. Vladimir Suchi.
Played many Suchi games, Dan?
Don't think I have. Even the Dana mentioned, I haven't.
There's also Praga, Kaput Regni.
Nope.
There's Pulsar.
Nope.
I do not like Praga. I'm sorry. It's really busy. it's too busy for me. But I just like his games. I like the way they are. They are point salady. All of them are Euro-y, point salady. We just put a Y on the end.
Yummy, yummy, point salad. Yummy, yummy.
Oh
So
my gosh.
that's what I've been playing.
Nice. What about you, Dan? What's been hitting your table?
A couple of games since I was last on with Dana last week. So had some family friends come over last night for dinner, and we played a quick game of the Quest for El Dorado, which was a lot of fun. I actually picked it up after Jules's Sizzle, probably 2 months ago or something. I picked up that and I grabbed the Dragons expansion because dragons. But it just reminded me getting it out because these guys, this couple that normally comes over, we tend to play a lot of card games. I've taught them a lot of different card games over the last couple of visits, including Surfs Up. Taught them Trick Draw. Taught them. We played Camel Up, the card game, and taught them Trio. So, and they're ex-casino workers. That's where I originally met them. So card games is always something that we gravitated towards, but I never taught them a deck builder. And it was kind of funny that there's things that you take for granted in a deck builder, dealing your deck and then putting your discard and then drawing more off your draw deck. It took them a while to get the hang of it. And they're like, oh, sorry, I'll put this over here. No, put them face up because that's your discard. And so it's like, oh, no, sorry. It's like, no, it's cool. It's your first. I realize this is your first time that I've taught a deck builder to you, but I'm excited because now I can teach them something like Aeon's End and some of the other more complicated deck builders. And we did explore some of that later in the game. I was explaining how there's some sections of the board where you move onto a space during your quest for El Dorado where you have to discard certain cards to go onto that one. And there's other places, the campsite, we actually remove them from the game altogether. That's a good opportunity to actually cull some of your lower cards so that way your higher cards come back into rotation a lot quicker. And then that was like a light bulb for them going, oh, okay, because the more you start buying things from the marketplace in El Dorado, that's great, but you don't always get them when you want them when you shuffle the deck and restart. But it went over a treat. It was my first time playing it. I did a quick little review on YouTube prior to them coming just to get the rules down. And then Jen had never played it before and they'd never played it before either. And we all had a lot of fun. We knocked it over in about an hour and it was close right towards the end. And I posted on Discord last night after I played it with some photos and I said that I played badly because we just played the base and the recommended tiles that you put out, but the last tile that goes out before El Dorado, it has like a ridge across the middle of gold coins where you need gold. I was loading up on cards and explorers or pioneers or whatever, so I could go movement of 2, 3, or maybe even 4 at a time, and I wasn't loading up on gold, and I literally got stuck where I didn't have any cards in my deck at all that I needed because I didn't think to look far enough ahead to see what I might need in the future. I was getting these sailors that would make me just carve through the ocean and through the forest. I'm like bounding 3 or 4 at a time because I had these good cards. And I completely forgot that towards the end I was going to need some gold as well. And I got left behind for dust. But my wife and Mel, they came down to the wire. Then where I was stuck, and then my mate, he was stuck behind me because some of those the maps create like a little log jam, like a little bottleneck. You got to sort of try and get through one at a time. So he was stuck behind me, so he wasn't too happy. But no, really, really enjoyed it, and I'm keen this week to see if I can crack out the Dragons and Treasures expansion, I think it's called, and just see how that fits into it as well because it comes with little dragons and I think this would be a good one for my boys to play as well because it's really just iconography. There's not a lot to read. Some of the cards have a little bit of an explanation as to what they do, some of the more complicated cards, but again, it has the icon to go with it as well. So if it's got a little cross through it, it means that card gets removed from the game once it's a single use only or whatever. So I think Jack would like it and we could probably Sherpa Ollie through his quest as well. So yeah, that one went down a treat.
Lauren, you've got the old version though, haven't you?
I do. The older version has tiny cards, which I
Ew.
really like. Everyone kind of turns
Really?
their nose
Are they
up
not
at
too
them.
fiddly?
No, I find them quite cute.
Okay.
And I've kind of got a lot of stuff for it already, so I don't know if I want to quite upgrade because there's now more expansions that are only available in new edition with
That makes
Vintage and Trade
sense.
Art. So eventually I'll have to kind of replace all of the old stuff so I can get the extra expansion. Was there any strategic blocking in your game? Because 4 players, the board
It
gets really
it
chockers.
wasn't really so much strategic as it was just unfortunate, just the way that it happened. Yeah, no, we didn't get that we didn't get that crafty, not didn't get take thatty at that stage. But I'm quite sure if Jen and I play, I think by looking at the rules, if you play 2 players, you control 2 adventurers each. So then there's great opportunities to block, and so you can't get past until I have my next turn.
I had one moment where I was playing two-player James and he had just sat perfectly to block me, and I was scrambling to get the card I need to go around him. In the meantime, his other guy's just moving back and forth, thinning his deck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just
That's
really
wow.
crafty. Very, very good. So there's a higher ceiling than apparently I can reach for skill in that game, but it's really
Wow.
good.
Next
It's
level.
really good.
And the last thing I was going to talk about quickly is a game called Almost Innocent, which is a game that actually I went on a group buy with some of the guys in our Discord and completely forgot. And then Jonathan, I think it was Jonathan, or it might have been Jason, going, "Hey guys, Almost Innocent has arrived," and we all went, "What? What's that?" And went, "You went on a group buy with it." But anyway, it's a deduction game, so it's totally my jam, and it's a cooperative deduction. So
Mm.
the theme, it feels a little bit painted on. You are a group of anthropomorphic animals, so there's like a bear and a rabbit or whatever, and you've just returned from a big quest, and you're at the tavern, and then there's murders start happening, and you're getting pinned for it, and so you need to try and explain your way out of it and try and find out who committed this murder. So you're looking for who did it, what the weapon was, what their motive was, old Cluedo or Clue style tropes. You can play up to 4 players, but it's done on a grid. You will draw one each of those cards, and then you're asking each other what they have to find out what all the other cards are. So you're saying, do you have any in the first column? If they say no, you can go cross, 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 cross. If they say yes, then or how many do you have? And they'll say 1. So you don't really know how many it is, and you also don't know if it's because your grid might have 2 culprits, one victim, and 1 murder weapon. So you don't know what it is. So then you try and cross-reference next time by saying, in row C, how many do you have? And they'll say 2. So it's like, okay, well, maybe that's the one in column 1, or maybe it's not. And it's just a simple grid in the first instance, but the game itself is a campaign. So it's run over, I think it's about 16 to 18 different games, and it gets more and more complicated each time. Some of them in later games, it's not just a simple 5x5 grid, but some of the squares are actually 2x2. And so when they say, okay, in this column there's 1, but it might not be a single one, it might be a double one, it might be a double-sized space. So it gets quite complicated. You're limited to, I think it's 10 or 12 guesses. There's little magnifying glasses that tells you how many guesses you're allowed. So once those guesses are expired, if you've got it, you got it. If you haven't, you've essentially failed and you've been pinged for the crime instead. It plays pretty well. Jen and I, we did 4, I think, which was all of the first act. So we're on to act 2 now, where it's going to start ramping up a little bit, and the amount of guesses you get gets less and less. It also changes what you can ask as well, and there's a few other wrinkles that start to come into it as the game proceeds. Because it was a Kickstarter, it came with an expansion, so there's a whole new campaign in there as well, which we're looking forward to. But it started off pretty easy. It started to get a little bit more difficult, but also at the same time, you get the hang of it. And so it's like that kind of balances out that as the difficulty ramps up, which is probably what you want. But I was talking to some of the guys that have bought it, and I think in terms of, it's not my favorite deduction. I think Paint the
Mm.
Roses is still my favorite
Yeah, right.
cooperative kind of deduction in terms of working together to try and, because that one has, I enjoy that one more because you've got the Queen of Hearts going around the outside, basically trying to chase you. So as opposed to, we've only got 10 guesses and we've got, that's like a ticking clock kind of thing, but being chased by, every time you get it wrong, she moves more steps and chases you around the board. And if you can't get around the board before she catches you, that just feels that the tension is a lot higher. The stakes are a lot higher in terms of, don't get this wrong. Whereas if you, okay, if we get it wrong, or if that question doesn't help us, we've still got sort of 4 or 5 more questions. So I enjoyed it, but because I really love my deduction games, but yeah.
Have you played Cryptid?
No.
Oh, you gotta play Cryptid.
Yes. Search for Planet X. I've never played that one either.
I feel
Don't
like
look at
now
me
that
like that.
the judgment now that Search for Lost Species is out, I reckon you can just straight away play that.
I've heard that one's better, is it?
It's got kind of the Search for Planet X, you're just kind of circling around the sun center,
Hmm.
whereas Search for Lost Species, there's more of a spatial element because you can move around a map.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're both kind of really interesting But I feel, I mean, I own both because I love them, but there's more dynamicism.
Hmm.
Dynamicism. It's more
Sure,
dynamic.
it's totally a word.
Yeah, you get it. This is search for lost species. You can move around more, do more things more interesting.
Yeah, that's first to find the species or first to find the planet.
Well, they're actually both about highest score. So you can not find Planet X and still win the game
Oh,
because you'll
okay.
get a whole stack of points for knowing where Planet X is. But that doesn't necessarily mean that someone needs to find Planet X for the game to end, but that doesn't mean that you'll necessarily win the game
Yep.
because you're publishing papers throughout. They both have this theme of kind of establishing theories of where certain things are based on kind of a growing body of rules.
Yep.
Too complicated for me.
Really? Because I think it
Already.
sounds awesome. I
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
my jam. It's my
Yeah,
jam.
and that's one of the downfalls. I enjoy the logic puzzle of Almost Innocent, but there's no real theme. It could really just be it could be just Cluedo characters and Cluedo weapons and rooms in a grid kind of thing. Another thing
Mm.
that I started doing as well, when you ask a question with two players, when I ask a question, she answers it and then I answer my version so she can mark something down as well. So I can actually ask a question for her that I know I'm going to provide an answer to that is going to be really useful to her. So I'm deliberately asking a question that is specifically obtuse, but then the answer that I give for that same question is really going to help her narrow down information for her. I suppose that's the beauty of cooperative games where you've got the deduction element. But my favorite deduction that's competitive is still Loot of Lima, which I had a chance to teach at the Brisbane game day earlier in the year, and that went down a treat.
Get out the purchase pen, Lauren.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? There's only so many of this one genre of game I can have, though, you know? But, oh, what a genre I love. So, a few games I've been playing that I just wanted to quickly talk about. So, one is Cascadero. That's the Reiner Knizia game that fulfilled pretty recently. Was the Cascadero Cascadito combo. So Cascadero is the big brother of the two. Cascadito is the roll and write version. I have played both, but I'll talk about Cascadero. So that's kind of falls in the tile layer genre of Reiner Knizia games. So we're talking Babylonia, Blue Lagoon, Through the Desert. So all the games where you're basically just like putting something on a map. That's it. That's your turn. And Cascadero is pretty similar. So basically, you just, on your turn, you'll place a little envoy down and it may score. That's your whole turn. You just kind of keep going until one person runs out of all their little guys. Game over. Whoever has the most points wins.
Oh, hell, I could do that.
Yeah. You're trying to connect different towns in large groups. So it has similarities to Babylonia. I think I like Babylonia more, but Cascadero is really interesting still. There's two sides of the board. There's one side that has these extra farmers that just create interesting kind of little bonuses when you place. You're trying to just connect different towns of different colors to score points. You kind of are blocking people a little bit. There's not as much blocking as there is in Through the Desert, where there's just blocking galore. But it was really interesting. One thing that is really interesting is so there's different colored towns, and you're playing as one player color, and you've got towns of your color. When you connect towns of a certain color, you'll rocket up the track for that color. The wrinkle is that you have to get to the top of your own color track, or you're not eligible to win.
Oh, one of those.
So you're desperately trying to not be blocked from your own towns because otherwise you'll have no way to get to the top of your own track and you can't win the game even if you end on the most points.
Yeah. Oh,
So
did that happen in your games?
So I played with Harry and Pete. I think everyone in the end got to the top of the track, but Pete, it was real touch and go towards the end if he'd make it towards the top of the pink track. I definitely want to play it again. I feel like it warrants more plays. And I think I'll enjoy it more and warm to it more as I play it more because you'll understand a little bit about strategy, where to place. There's also, you can kind of combo off things. So you place, which lets you go up this track and you get to this point, which gives you a bump on another track. So you can have pretty combo-y turns, but combo-y in a way that's still really quick to resolve. So it never bogs the game down. So yeah, it was just really interesting. Tile layout, maybe not my favorite of the Knizia tile layers. Space Biff did a really good write-up about this game. So if anyone reads his reviews, you can read that.
Did you get the roll and write as well?
I did get the roll and write. My recommendation for the roll and write is just skip map number 1. It's too simple, not very interesting. But the later maps are kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think it's probably not my favorite roll and write.
Yeah.
It's not kind of superseded the Railroad Inks, the Welcome Twos, Orleon roll and write, which is outstanding. So
I've
good.
never heard of that.
Or maybe I'll have to sizzle that one day. But yeah, so really interesting, nice addition to the Ranakensiatal Lang series. And the other game that I quickly wanted to mention, but I won't talk too much about because it's been sizzled by Def and I believe Connor.
That sounds about right.
So, which is Ultimate Railroads. And it's just really clean worker placement design. Like, you just pop a worker, that's your turn, move up some tracks. It just really great cadence. I think that was the thing that I liked most about this game. Just the pacing of it felt awesome. There was only, I think, 8 rounds, or at least in the 2-player game that I played with Kenny. But you kind of start out really slow, and then it picks up, and then in the last 3 or 4 rounds, it just explodes. You just have these huge turns, huge points. I really liked the pacing of it. I feel like even though from a glance, it would seem like there's not a lot of variability in the game, because you're like, oh, same worker placement spots every time, same kind of, engineers, whatever come out. I feel like the subtle changes in the game, meaning the order that the tiles come out, the different things that other players go for, where they block and when, drastically change the game enough that I feel like it gives it a lot of replayability. It feels really different each time because there's a lot of different strategies you can go for, things you can push for, but depending on the order of how things shake out, it really changes whether they're viable or not each time. So it's not as if, I know that this is going to work. I really have to consider how this game is going to kind of think about my strategy, and I've just really appreciated that in it.
Are you you're playing that on BGA? Is it BGA or something?
It is on BGA. Ultimate Railroads is the kind of upgrade, so to speak, from Russian Railroads.
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Russian Railroads.
It's the same game. Ultimate Railroads just has some changes to the game and then all of the expansions thrown into the box. But it's the same game. Russian Railroads is, I think, really beloved. But Kenny taught me in person. So I played it physically and I played it on BGA.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Ultimate Railroads is one of the games that I play a lot of on BGA, and it's in this BGA pocket of games. There's Ultimate Railroads. There's I've been playing a bit of Barrage lately. I've been playing a lot more Great Western Trail, and also A Feast for Odin. And all 4 of them I absolutely love, and I've never won because I suck at them. Like I'll play Ultimate Railroads and I'll start to, this gets me this, and now I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I think I'm doing really well, and I check everyone else's score, and I'm like, don't understand what I'm doing wrong, and I'm loving it the whole way, and then it gets to the end, here's the score, and I'm like, not just last, I am dead last. It's like, I don't know why I'm enjoying this so much, because I obviously have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm definitely improving, and I'm starting to understand, I'm going to use this, I'm going to grab that worker, so now that's my worker for my own worker place and all this sort of stuff, and I'm rocking and rolling, and then I look at the scores and I'm like, what is going on?
Just a masochist, just ready for a beating every time.
Yeah.
But you're right, it is such a great it's a really, really clean worker placement game. I don't think I've ever played it 2 players though, but really, really cool.
Do you go for the heavy games on BGA, Dana, or do you tend to the lighter ones?
I would say that I'm playing more lighter games. That's just because of the people that I happen to be playing with. I've got 30 games on the run, like turn-based games on the run at a time. So they're probably the lighter fare, to be honest, with the exception of Arc Nova, which, like you, Dan, I continually lose all the time. I cannot win that game. But anyway,
just ready for a beating every time.
Yeah,
I can't do the async. I forget what I'm doing, and I just feel like I have to wing it.
Yeah, there are certain games that I can do async or turn-based now, because I know I'm so familiar with the game. Like, I could come back to a game of TO when it's finally my turn again, and look at it, and it's almost like reading a chessboard. I feel like I can get the state of play, and even if I don't remember what I wanted my next move to be, I can pretty much look at it and know what my next move should be, kind of thing. But you're right.
Mhm.
There's other games where it's finally my turn again. I look at the board and going, I don't remember what I was planning on doing here, and my strategy would shift 6 or 7 times during the game, just because of it's just I'm so far removed from any kind of momentum in the gameplay. So yeah.
Here's my
Yeah.
mother of the year award coming. There have been times when I'm running out of time to take my turn, and my kids are trying to talk to me, and I'm going, just wait, just wait. I'm trying to take my turn, and they say, "Mum, just listen to me." And I said, "I'm going to get a bad rating, and it's going to take me forever to get it back. I can't. I have to take my turn." So yeah, mother of the year coming there.
Just gotta smash through those games of Connect 4 to get it back up.
Yeah.
Come on, Lauren, give me some credit. It's not Connect
Alright.
4. Pluto.
Well, with all of that, shall we get into some sizzles?
Sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Dana, what game do you want to sizzle?
It's a Christmas themed game. This is probably surprising that I would sizzle this game at this time of year, but I feel like it warrants it. There are not many Christmas themed games out there that I think are particularly good. Lauren and I were talking, and I think you mentioned Gingerbread House. Is it Gingerbread House?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Phil Walker
Yeah.
Hard.
Which is a bit sort of more, I was looking at it on BGG, and it's a bit more Hansel and Gretel-y type thing, but
Yeah.
they're generally, like the Christmas games are generally pretty lame. So this came along. So it's Santa's Workshop by Elf Creek Games.
Cool.
And I actually found out about it, to be honest, from a Dice Tower review. So as the name suggests, it's Santa's Workshop, and Santa and his team of elves are working tirelessly to create and prepare toys for children around the world. And so there are 2 versions in this game. There's the standard version and an advanced version. There's 2 sides of the board. One plays, you can imagine, is a little bit more basic, probably for families with younger children. And then the advanced is a little bit more gamey. I would always just play the advanced version if it were me. The game is basically worker placement with contract fulfillment. So the contracts are the toys that children are wishing to get for Christmas. And this game is like thematic as hell. It really is a beautiful Christmas themed game. And I wish that almost we were on video so I could show it, but there are like little Santa letters, and these are the things that children have written to Santa to say that they want for Christmas. They're the toys that you're going to be making. But even the little envelopes, it might say, I've got a couple in front of me here, it might say a doll or a Jack in the Box, but they're actually written like the name of the children is written there. And above that, doll, for example, is written in the language, in a different language, like the language of the child that has actually written the letter to Santa. So it's actually sort of quite thematic, just even in that way. It is just a beautiful production. And so the contracts, as I said, are the toys that children are wishing to get for Christmas from these letters that you receive. And there's you're going to need different types of materials to make these toys, and you're going to be sending your little worker elves to these different worker placement spots. And there's 9 rounds, and after each set of 3 rounds, Santa goes to check on the elves to see who's completed the most toys, and you'll get rewarded with points for that. So there's also some other things in the game that make it very thematic, like you could choose to decorate the tree to get resources, and that's a bit of like majority scoring. as to who has the most decorations on the tree. You can also go to the stables and collect sets of reindeers. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but Tom Bassel actually mentioned this in his review, but some of the reindeer aren't the traditional names. Some of them are, like there's Vixen and Dasher, but Rudolph is called Randolph. So I'm wondering if Rudolph is like trademarked or whether they had to pay to use it
Oh,
or something. It's a bit odd in that way. But anyway, there is a reindeer that looks like Rudolph, but he's called Randolph. There's also like a little economy going where you have to get coal in the advanced game as well. And the worker placement spots are you get less resources for going there early, but the second person will get more resources, but it'll also give the person who went there first points. So it's an interesting way of doing worker placement. And I think it's gamey enough to be very satisfying as a Christmas game. And I have played this outside of Christmas, obviously. And I really enjoyed it. And there's a little cardboard sleigh and there's a little sack that you put the little toys in. It's really good. And there's even like you can upgrade your elves, so you can upgrade your player board. So it's really not too bad. The standard version, there's, as you can imagine, it's shorter and the worker placement spots are not as competitive. So it's a little bit nicer probably for younger children. It's Andrew Bosley did the artwork.
oh, nice.
It just is a really great Christmas game. And I'm recommending it now because, one, there is a Kickstarter coming supposedly on the 4th of June where it's going to be available. But you can actually buy it, but you have to buy it from Elf Creek Games. And if you type into Google Elf Creek Games Australia, that's where you get it from. And I thought it was a bit odd, but I thought I'd give it a go. And I bought it. It came 2 weeks later. And I thought it was very reasonable for what it is. It was $54 and $10 shipping. So it was pretty reasonable for a very high quality game. And I highly recommend this. And I think sometimes, you just need that game that you really want to play at Christmas, something thematic, whether it's Halloween, you like to have something that you like to play on Halloween. I really have never really had anything Christmassy, and I think this is it. This is really good. It's a really good Christmas game. And so that's my sizzle. It's Santa's Workshop.
It's crazy to me that there aren't more games with a Christmas theme.
I know.
Unless publishers don't want to sort of box themselves in. They don't want to limit themselves to creating a game people are only going to play 1 month out of the year.
But we do that with Halloween, don't we?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I have any sort of Halloween style games. I might need some recommendations, but yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought it was just, I could just imagine the Christmas music going, and it was just so beautiful. It's such a good game to play with a family. So
With some hot chocolate and some
gonna
straight to
say-
TV Christmas movies playing in the
got the
background.
Carols in the Domain or Carols by Candlelight on the background, and maybe that's how Rudolph became Randolph. Maybe they were drinking a bit of eggnog at Elf Creek Games and a little typo.
It got a bit randy. And the name just stuck.
Well, the reason why I mentioned that you
just
can
read for another reason.
The reason why I mentioned you could buy it from Elf Creek is because it's highly unlikely if you go to the Kickstarter that you're going to get it before Christmas.
So what's the Kickstarter? Is it a new edition or is it coming on the Kickstarter?
It's the same game, but it's coming with like a couple of Christmas puzzles come with it,
right?
Which are sort of based on the Santa's Workshop game,
Mhm.
but it also is being paired with the Merchants of the Dark Road.
Yeah.
So they're sort of doing it in a group type thing. But,
I recently, earlier this year, they fulfilled the expansion to Atlantis Rising, and again, like you say, at Elf Creek Games, the component quality is just phenomenal. Just really, they produce really nice games.
Dan, What's the
Yeah.
game you'd like to sizzle?
I've got a little game, a nice little game to just this week I picked up a copy of a new button shy game that released this year, and it's The Walking Dead. It's called The Walking Dead Surrounded. It was released in 2024. I don't believe it was a Kickstarter. I'm usually, because I subscribe to Button Shy, so I normally get all of their Kickstarters that come, and I normally wait till a few of them have gone by, and then when they do a new Kickstarter, I'll jump in and get a few other copies as well, just to save on the shipping. But I saw this being played on Twitch a couple of weeks ago, and then I saw something on their Instagram and went, "Is this new?" And they went, "Oh, it's been out a little while." I jumped on the website, and it arrived within less than 2 weeks. It was just I've never been disappointed with the service from the Button Shy team, and you'll appreciate this, Dan. When it arrived,
Oh, that smell.
I don't know. I know.
Is
It's
it the vinyl?
the vinyl of the plastic wallet, but even the
Yeah.
cards, because they're like a linen finish card, and I really, really
Oh.
love it. But anyway, I've got a thing with Button Shy games. I've got a whole bunch of them in my collection, and I'm really, really happy to add this one to it. Again, it's 18 cards, and each of the cards has a location on one side, and on the reverse side, it has 4 characters. And they might be just a normal survivor, they might be a walker, they might be a zombie, or they might be a leader. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to lay your locations out and then surround them with people. And you score at the end of the game for each location. If it's completely surrounded, you need to make sure that your survivors will take care of or counteract any walkers, and then any leaders that are there, they will actually clash with other leaders. So you can only have one leader at any location, and you're trying to make sure that you get a positive score in each location. If you have too many walkers that are surrounding a location, then you get a negative score. Sometimes the locations will actually have a specific action or an objective that you might lose additional points if that location is overrun, or if there's a gasoline tank, because it's kind of thematic in terms of one location might have gasoline. If you completely surround it, then you earn that gasoline, which is an extra bonus point. Sometimes it'll simply say 3 points on it. So you want to try and surround that one. But with the 18 cards, you start by just putting one location, and then you take the top card, flip it, and you've got to make sure that you put a walker next to that location. And so then from there on, you're trying to create a checkerboard. So you're not allowed to have 2 locations next to each other. There must always be a group of survivors in between each location. So across the top, it would be location, then survivors, then location, then survivors, and so on and so forth. But at any time, you don't have to put a location down. You can just flip the card and then put some survivors down. So that's how you're trying to surround your locations. At any time you want to decide, well, the next one on the top of the deck is a sweet location, I'm going to put that down. You must immediately flip the next one over and put a walker next to that location. So it always puts you in this jam of, that's a really cool location, I'm going to put it here, but then I have to put a walker next to it straight away. And then I'm trying to surround it with more characters. I need more survivors to sort of balance out so there's more survivors at a location than there is walkers or zombies. And it's just a really cool spatial puzzle. I mean, as with most of these Button Shy games, they play in sort of under 10 minutes, and then it'll do fairly well, and then I'll score it as like 10. That sucks. I'm going to start again. Shuffle, and away you go again. And the back of the card says that anything from 0 to 10, this is the beginning of the end. 11 to 15, you're just scraping past. 16 to 20, you might just do this after all. And then 21 plus, you're a born leader. Congratulations. I've never gotten close to 20. But it is that really cool, because you're shuffling the deck and you start again. It's just 18 cards. It's just a really cool little spatial puzzle, which I really enjoy. Now, outside of that, the game comes with a scenario series where it'll give you additional objectives, and there'll be an easy, a medium, and a hard degree of difficulty. So additional objectives, not just to get all 18 cards out into your grid, but it might ask that you need to have at least 2 locations surrounded that have gasoline tanks. Or you must have at least 2 of your locations must have the same score. You must have a leader in every single location. So you can limit how many locations you have, but you must have leaders in every single one of them. So it's just an added incentive or an added objectives to try and work through these scenarios, which I think is a really, really great sort of addition to the game itself. And then I also just got the Under Siege expansion, which just comes with 6 more cards. So it just expands the deck to 24, but there's some added things that some of the players do. So because some of the characters in the deck, when you put it next to a location, there's one of the actions, which is a look, which allows you to actually flip the next card over so you can see, do I want to use the location? Do I want to use it as the survivor side? There's another one where it lets you move one card from your grid to a different location. So if you put a card down and then you had to put a walker next to it later on, you can move that into a better position for yourself. And there's another one where you can actually burn a card, which you're allowed to remove it from your grid and put it at the bottom of the deck. So you'll always finish in a game state of 18 cards, but if you can strategically start placing your cards down and take advantage of the actions, you can really start to position these things nicely and get maximum points, which I'm not at that stage yet. I'm still learning. I've played it about sort of 6 or 7 times now, but I love it. I've been playing it quite a bit, and just it's a great. I mean, the button shy games are really cool just to get out and I'll just play a quick 10-minute game, and then it's like, all right, that sucked. I'll play again. It's like I can do better. I'll play again, because you are essentially just trying to beat your own score. But I key it all into BG stats, so after game. So I know what my best score is, and I'm always just trying to beat that. I love it.
Yeah. Do you keep those like in your bag or something like that? Is that the kind of thing that you do?
I have taken them to work occasionally. Got a couple of 2-player and 4-player, but most of my button shy games are solo games. I mean, this one does say you can play 1 to 4 players. It kind of really, most of them just play best at 1.
Yeah.
Games like
Food Chain Island, Row. It's giving me those kinds of vibes.
Yes, absolutely. So some of my favorites are Food Chain Island's a favorite of mine. I like the Ugly Griffin Inn, which kind of reminded me of when you were talking about the Bloody Inn, where you're trying to manage these guests as they come into the inn and whether they go upstairs or they stay downstairs. But they've got irks and perks. So if they're in your inn, they've got certain perks for you. But if they go upstairs, you kind of score on them. But they've got irks. Like if it's too noisy downstairs, they'll leave. And so you're kind of trying to manage who's upstairs, who's downstairs.
Goblin downstairs is really, really noisy. So you want to put him right at the top.
Really, really cool spatial puzzles. And Mitch, over the holidays, over the Christmas break, Mitch lent me Palm Island, which I really, really enjoyed. But I had to give that back to him because he goes, you can play it, but I want it back because it's one of my favorites. And I can see why, because it is a really, really cool game.
I love the wallets they come in. And I know that they've released for distribution in Australia, because for a while, Button Shy were really hard to get in Australia. But now they're releasing them with their expansions in these little boxes. So you can go pick up Food Chain Island and all of its expansions. They're more accessible. But I just like the little wallets.
Thank you. Me too. I don't want to poo-poo on them, because I think it's great that they're getting more exposure here in Australia. As you say, I like that they come with all the expansions and stuff. And I've had to have multiple wallets, because I've got one wallet for Tussie Mussy and then another one for all the expansions to Tussie Mussy. So I get it. It would be handy to have it all in a box. But like you, I love having the wallets. Always amazed at the quality of these little games. It's just 18 cards.
So
this
clever.
Is another one by Jason Tagmeyer, who's done a bunch before. He's done Banned Books and Riddle of Fire. There's like 3 key kind of designers that really knock it out of the park. Elizabeth Hargrave, Tussie Mussy. That's a really good two-player game.
There's an expansion that lets you play it solo as well, I believe.
Really? I recommended Tussie Mussy to a lot of people.
That's awesome. And I love Button Shy getting love, because their company, the model, the way they do it is awesome. All of their rule books are hand cut. So everything, they're all hand assembled, those wallets. So everything's just a touch wonky, but in a way that I find really, really charming. All right. Now my sizzle, it is one of the more recent acquisition in my ever-growing collection of Japanese card games. And this is a game called Robotrick. Have either of you heard of Robotrick?
No.
Already searching for it.
You can buy it on Tricky Imports. So this is something that you can buy, albeit at a premium if you want. So the designer, his name is Domi. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Published by the Game Gallery Works. Robotrick is a strictly 3-player only trick-taking game.
Oh, wow.
And the way it works is the 3 players will play a fairly standard must-follow trick taker. However, there is a 4th player, which is a robot, who plays with an open hand every round and has a little programming sheet as to how the robot plays. Now, I don't know what this robot is called. I think they call it Robo, but I played with Harry and Pete, and we called it Rick, because we were like, is it Robotrick or Robot Rick? And we're like, it's definitely Robot Rick. We're calling him Rick. So Rick has a sheet, that will have 3 columns: follow, unfollow, and lead. And basically what it does is it just tells you the rules of how Rick is going to play the game when he has to follow suit, when he can't follow suit, and when he's leading a trick.
Hmm.
So that's already really interesting because you're trying to manage your hand based on what the robot's played. But the reason what the robot plays is so important is because of how scoring works. Now, how scoring works is if you win a trick, you take the card the robot played in that trick and you're going to score it. So you want to try win tricks when the robot is going to be playing a high card. However,
Yes.
if the robot ever wins the trick, then the card you played, you're going to take as negative points.
Okay.
So you don't want to be left with a high card that you have to follow when the robot leads off with this high card, because then you're taking that as negative points.
And when you say when you lose, you're talking about all 3 of you potentially lose because the robot won the trick. So you would have
correct.
minus points, Harry would have minus points, and
Pete.
Pete
Yeah,
would have
Pete.
minus points. So you're all losing points because the robot won.
Yeah, the robot never takes points, plus or
Yeah.
minus. It's just participating in the trick taking.
Gotcha.
It's so interesting. It's the last little wrinkle is that you can only ever positively score 3 tricks per round. So if you keep winning tricks after that, then you're going to be taking what the robot played as negative points. And you can't ever switch it out. So you only want to
Wow.
win 3 tricks, not more. And
Each.
so really, yeah, correct. So it's just a really interesting trick taker that is not that difficult to teach. It's not Nikosu dice, which is really confusing and rules heady at the outset. Robotrick or Robotrick is it makes sense. You get it. And then you say, okay, I understand the rules. I have no idea what to do and how to play. And the whole game is just evolving, working out how do I make sure I have these cards left, and the robot will change, the programming card will change every round. So instead, when he follows, instead of playing his highest card, he might play his lowest card, or he might play from his shorter suit, or he might play from the suit he has the most cards. Like that will all change across the game. So you're constantly just trying to work out, okay, wait, what do I need to do to make sure that I have this 13 and I can score it? Really, really interesting trick taker. And just felt really fresh in a genre that after you've played so many, and I feel like I have played a lot of trick takers, some of them start to feel pretty samey or the innovations don't feel particularly interesting. This felt like a relatively simple to understand innovation or nuance that was just so interesting, and it really changed the texture and flavor of the play. And it's great that we could just slag off Rick the entire time. It's like, bloody Rick, what are you doing that for? Just really enjoyed it. The aesthetic of it is a bit interesting. We had a bit of a conversation about this, Pete, Harry, and I, that we think the cards themselves were made for the English version because they look really different to the box art. So I actually think the cards inside are nicer than the box art. But it just a really interesting, quirky little trick taker that I highly recommend and actually can be purchased on trickyimports.com.
So are you essentially working together? If you say that you only win 3 tricks, then are you I'll win this one, you win the next one. Are you still competing against each other?
Competing against each of the 3 players to get the most points across
Right.
4 rounds where you're going to go through all of your cards.
Yeah.
And in that one round, you don't want to win more than 3 tricks.
Right.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm thinking it sounds cooperative,
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I should have clarified
No,
that.
no,
It's
I-
definitely competitive. You're trying to get the most points.
I completely understand, what you're saying, where you're trying to help the other person win so that you don't.
Or like force Harry's hand to win
Yes.
when the robot's playing the really high cards.
Throw
So you
them under
put
the
Harry in a
bus.
situation where he has to play his trump and he has to take the robot's 13.
Mm-hmm.
You must have been sort of also trying to remind yourself, hang on a minute, no, I actually don't want to win this. It must have been hard to get your head around, I would have thought.
Particularly when in some games you'll get such a great hand. It's like, well, I'm going to shoot the moon. I'm going to win every single
Yeah.
trick. If you get a good hand here, it's like, how do I not win every
Yeah,
trick?
yeah.
Well, one thing you do at the beginning of every round as well, and this is probably to balance a bit of the randomness in terms of you can get a great hand or a bad hand in a trick taker, is you pick two cards from your hand and pass it to the person next to you. So you do get a bit of control over what you have in your hand, and you have a bit of knowledge of what other people have in their hand.
Yes.
So I can give Pete this trump card, and the whole time I know, okay, he's got this card, so he hasn't played it yet. So now I can do that. He's definitely going to have to play it. He's going to have to follow suit here, and he will win. Things like that. So there's lots of little wrinkles like that that just kind of add a bit of flavor, a bit of nuance. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it a lot. And in my estimations, really gonna probably rise the rank in terms of my favorite trick takers.
Wow. Big call.
That
Yeah.
sounds really cool. The Robotrick Robotrick thing reminds me of the camel up, camel cup thing, where it
Yeah,
doesn't quite
that's right.
the way the artwork is on the box. It's not exactly clear which way it should be, and so people just oscillate between the two.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so that's Robotrick by Dommy.
If you're looking to add to your board game collection without taking out a second mortgage, then look no further than Advent Games. Dean and the team don't just sell games, they play games, they know games, they love games just like us. The first thing you notice when you head to adventgames.com.au is the amazing range of games. Dean and the team have worked tirelessly to make sure that every game is properly catalogued into the website. You can search by card games, dice games, family games, gateway games, solo games, and games from your favourite designers. And they don't just have games. Advent has a huge range of RPG books, game inserts, organisers, sleeves, even miniatures and scenery to make your next game night an experience to remember. Shipping is a flat $10 if you live in the Sydney metro area, $15 for the rest of Australia. And don't forget, if you sign up for their newsletter, every Friday you receive an email with the latest specials, newest arrivals, and a list of all the games that have just come back into stock. So there's no excuse for missing out on that game that you desperately want in your collection. So why not grab your next sizzling game from Advent Games? Head to adventgames.com.au now.
All right, so some quick announcements. PlayCon is coming up. A reminder to download the Aftergame app from the App Store from Google Play. Once you've registered on Aftergame, make sure to head to events and find PlayCon. From there, you'll also be able to view the library of games we'll have at PlayCon. Currently over 300, heaps of games to choose from. You'll be able to see games that are scheduled and as well as add your own as we get closer to the event. Currently, there's over 15 games, including Dungeons and Dragons sessions, playtesting, and heaps of board games, so keep checking Aftergame to see what's available. Just be aware that you'll need this app to sign up for games and demos at the event, and it's also, on top of that, a great app to keep track of all the games that you've played, add people to games, see what's going on at the event, and yeah, so be sure to check that out. Another thing to mention is that it is Pride Month this month. At the Board Game BBQ, we really try to foster a inclusive and hopefully diverse community of gamers from all sorts of walks of life. So we really just want to have a big shout out to all the members of our community that are part of the LGBTQIA+ community to say happy Pride Month and happy gaming. All right, so now the question of the pod. So last week's question, which we actually got heaps of responses for.
Yeah,
And I think
it
it's
played out really well.
as soon as you throw a stone to gamers asking for recommendations, just like
Yeah,
that's all you need, right? What games should I play? And then just heaps of responses. So last week's question was, what game do you use to introduce new people to modern board gaming and why? Dan, would you like to read out some of the comments from Facebook?
Robert Jackson said, Clank. It has a board with a dungeon so that you move around, so people instinctively get that. It's not too intimidating to just say, get an artifact and get out. And of course, people are mystified by deck building, but as I found out last night. But the idea to teach them something useful, right? So when someone starts to understand the logic of acquiring a card to their discard pile, well, that's just a beautiful thing to see. And
I love seeing people like just click
yeah,
when they play a board game, when you teach them a board game.
yeah. And Brooke Calvert said, I've noticed players and the entire table become silent as new players figure out how to think a few moves ahead. then the table erupts as the perfect dice roll happens, or the massive groan as the worst dice roll happens, almost guaranteed to get a second play as soon as the teach is over.
Dana, do you want to read out some of the responses from Insta?
So from Veskittles, this is going to sound wanky, but I don't have a set of go-to beginner games because people all have different baselines. For example, with the understanding of modern board games, video gamers have a completely different baseline to someone who's never picked up a controller in their lives. I've gotten people into the hobby through typical beginner games like Splendor and Azul, but I've also gotten people into the hobby when starting them on things like Yokohama or Root. I dismissed modern board games for years because people tried to get me onto party or light games to start out. I only got deep into the hobby because someone got me into a Merchants and Marauders game.
Alrighty, so for our new question of the pod, it might feel a bit left of field now, but there is going to be a tie-in when we come to our swearing of an oath. And that new question of the pod is, if you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
What do you think? Off the top of your head.
I'm trying to think whether it should be a campaign game where I can, yes, get a lot of adventure out of it, because they're the kind of games that I'm starting to enjoy a lot more. So if I got to the end of a campaign, then I can start again and play again. I recently bought ISS Vanguard, so that might be a good one, because I could probably play that over and over again. There's games that I love, but I would probably get sick of them if it was only, I don't know. This is a real
For the rest
doozy.
of my life.
Yeah.
I'd probably pick a party game.
Oh.
I'd probably pick a party game. Like something like Decrypto, or something like just could play with my family but still works in other settings.
At the moment, I really like Res Arcana. I really like that game. And it's got lots of combinations with the different cards, with the 3 expansions. It's got lots of different combinations. It's different if it's 4-player or 2-player. I think Res Arcana would be the one
I
for
think
me.
I'd probably lean to either a big campaign style game, or a medium to heavy game. Like, I know if we asked Adrian this, he would say Barrage. Because, and he's already getting to that point now where he knows a game inside out. And so master a game inside out would be so rewarding.
Yeah. You know what, now that you say it, it might be Food Chain Magnate.
Ooh.
Like Horseless Carriage, just really got a lot of meat to it, but you're not going to be able to table it very often. So then am I reverting back to something like Arkham Horror LCG, which I can play solo? I can play with other people.
That's a good choice.
But then,
good choice.
Or Spirit Island, got the very ability
Spirit
to
Island, I was even thinking of
spirits.
just, like Feast for Odin, because there is a lot to really, to become super good at a game like that would take playing over and over and over again. And so if that's the only game you can play, then you got time.
You don't necessarily have to play it every day, though, do you?
No,
like
it's just the only time you ever play a game. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
It would be so rewarding to just be a gun at a game instead of being master of none, which is where I am at the moment.
Yeah, me too.
Unlike this Ultimate Railroads nonsense.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there you go.
Cool. Alrighty, well, we'd love to hear from you. If you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? All right, now just a quick shout out to our community. We've got a new Patreon member, which is Ethan Meister. Meister, I
think it is. He goes to a game group that I attend in Brisbane. So
Ethan, it is Meister have you in the Patreon community.
Yeah. Did you say it's Meister have you?
I did.
Hey, I see what you did there.
I didn't even pick it. Oh God.
I'm so sorry, Ethan. All right.
And we've just lost a Patreon.
Yeah.
Ethan, it's nice having you on board.
It's been nice knowing you. Yeah.
If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/boardgamebarbecue. Sign up to get exclusive access to podcasts that we record just for our Patreons. But there are plenty of ways to support the podcast outside of that, one of the easiest ways is to tell your mates. Go on to Apple Podcasts, leave us a star rating and a review, or Spotify's new star rating system. You can get involved in the communities online, whether that be Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X. The communities are so active, there's always conversations going, and we'd love to have you be a part of it. All the links are in the show notes. All right, now on to the swearing of an oath. Now, I'll lead us off. Dana was kind enough to come in absolutely clutch because my copy of Planted had not arrived in time for this podcast. But Dana hopped on this morning with me on Tabletop Simulator, and we managed to get that done.
Yes.
Like kind of gentle set collection, tableau building games. Really awesome introduction to kind of, because you like pass your hands around, so hand management, kind of keeping tab of what people got. Really lovely, and the art's beautiful. The production looks gorgeous, even though I've not seen it in person yet. We love a bit of Phil Walker Harding. That oath was provided kindly from Anjani Kumala, who was the student in America who said that this was her favorite game and that she now
awesome.
listens to the podcast. So, Anjani, thank you so much for that recommendation. It was great, and I'm really excited for my game to arrive.
That's
I
awesome.
also had the Oath of Fields of Isle Tea and Trade expansion, and I played it, and no surprise, it was great. Fields of Isle, one of my favorite of the Tuves, so the two-player Uves. Just really good. Now for my new oath, and this is where we get the tie-in with our question of the pod. Dana, you like to play lots of games all the time, and Def and Adrian kind of dive deep into these games and play them over and over. I've lent recently more to your side, Dana, which is trying lots of new things all the time, and I would love to get to know one game in particular a bit better. So my new oath, and I haven't decided on the game yet, so that's going to be a surprise to everyone, including me, but it's just to play one game, the same game, only for a month. Not sure what the game is going to be yet. I have a little time to decide, but yeah, I just rack up a few dozen plays of it. And
So does
see
that
if I can
mean
get to know it a
Harry
bit
has
better.
got to play that as well? Like when you see Harry every week,
Yeah, you bet. Harry, get ready, mate.
you're doing the oath with her.
I think more than anything, I'd be interested to hear not only what game you choose, but how your experience from game 1 to game however many you get in, game 12, game 15, game 20, you've really sort of cracked it open and got to work out some key strategies, or whether you're completely sick of it. I don't know. It'd be an interesting experiment.
That's right. I'm wondering if the month is going to feel like a slog, because I'm not sure yet. Is it going to feel like a chore, or is it going to feel delightful? We're going to find out together. But yep, that's my new oath.
I can send you a copy of The Walking Dead Surrounded. You could probably get about
Oh.
110 players out of that.
Look, I kind of just want to choose Food Chain Island.
Yeah.
Love that game so much.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll pick something a little more substantial so I can try get into the weeds of understanding strategy a bit more.
Mhm.
But Dana, what was your old oath and what are you swearing?
Well, my old oath was Merchant's Cove, so I failed the previous week. It was a failure. But I had a good excuse. I was very unwell with a bad back, but I did manage to play Merchant's Cove. I only played it once, but I'm keen to play it more. For those of you who don't know, it's an asymmetric game where you're playing as different vendors in Merchant's Cove. So each person is playing a completely different game, sort of. You're all trying to earn the most money, and we managed to play as the blacksmith and the captain. And I was surprised, actually. I've been putting off playing this game. This is probably the game that's been on my shelf of shame the longest. It's actually not a hard game at all. I don't know what I was waiting for, really. It was really quite simple, and I really enjoyed it. I have heard that a lot of people don't like it, maybe because it doesn't have enough interaction, because you're doing different things, but that sort of suits me, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to exploring more. So I did it. Tick. My new
Yay.
oath is I got a Kickstarter during the week. I don't know if you've heard of this publisher, but it's called Portland Games Collective. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They did the reprint of like Haggis and all of those
Yes.
classic games. Yeah.
Yes. So I got this box with Haggis, Trick Takers, Bridge City Poker, and this other game called 535,
Oh,
the card game.
I've been playing that on Board Game Arena.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with
Oh.
Jonathan and Chris, I think, Talkium. Yeah.
Anyway,
It's good.
I received that, and I thought, that is my oath. I'm going to play all of those. And honestly, I was so impressed by this Kickstarter. I don't know if you've ever received this or not, but it came with a little personal note, which I love. And it says, Dana, holy cow, all the PGC stuff coming so many miles to you in Australia. This will never be lost on me. Thank you so much. And I just thought that was so cool, just having this personal note. And yeah, it was great. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to
Nice.
play all of those.
And this is a plug for another Discord community. But if you want to find more trick-taking games, more card games, or if you have a game that you got overseas and it doesn't have English rules, you can probably find all of that in their Discord. It's just a wonderful Discord community for people who like card games.
And it's just Portland Games Collective. That's it.
Yeah, Portland Game Collective.
Yeah. Okay.
Another Discord community I'm going to be joining up to.
What's the Discord community equivalent of a purchase pen?
Yeah. That's
Exactly.
it.
Little sign-up pen.
Excellent. My oath after fulfilling my oath last week to play Creature Comforts, my new oath was to play Maple Valley, and I did not get it to the table. Well, no, actually, I lie. I got it to the table because I said
It sat on the table.
I know. I said
stayed
to
on
Jen,
the table.
There was one night I said to Jen, "Do you want to play a game after boys go to bed?" And she said, "Yeah." And so I brought out Maple Valley, and she went, "Ooh." I went, "Yeah." And then she made a cup of tea. She came and sat down, and she went, "Oh." I said, "Oh." And she goes, I thought we were going to play Creature Comforts again." Because she saw the artwork and she thought it was Creature Comforts again. And I said, "Would you prefer to play Creature Comforts again?" She goes, "Yeah, can we?" And I'm like, I'm not going to say no to playing a game.
Yeah.
So I put Maple Valley back and we got Creature Comforts out and we played it a second time. And we actually tied. And I went, "Oh, okay. So I'll just get the rule out." And because I put it aside because we knew how to play it. We got the rule back out and go, "What's the tiebreaker?" There is no tiebreaker. In Creature Comforts, you share the victory because it's such a cozy little game. It says something about winning should be shared or something like that. So we had a little high five and went, "Hey, we both won." So I didn't fulfill Maple Valley, but I did get to play Creature Comforts a second time, which I was still happy with. So that'll stay. And I'm going to double down with a game that arrived at Kickstarter that arrived probably a couple of weeks ago, which is the new Garfield Games game, Ezra and Nehemiah, or Nehemiah, which I have actually played before. I got to play test it a couple of times last year through their Discord and on Tabletop Simulator with Sam McDonald. So I've played it solo and I've also played it with 4, but I haven't played the physical copy. So I'm looking forward to getting it to the table. I don't think it's going to be Jen's jam, so I'll be playing it solo, but I'm looking forward to it because I think this is the first one that they've had which has dual layer boards. Which I'm excited about. They've cottoned on to the whole dual layer. So, but there's still the tucking and all the other stuff that we've come to love from Garfield Games. So, looking forward to getting Ezra and Nehemiah to the table.
Awesome. Well, that's all she wrote, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this chat. It's been great.
Absolute pleasure.
Prattled through a whole list of awesome games. We'll be seeing you guys really soon.
Yeah, can't wait. I don't know how much game time we're going to get in, though. We're all going to be so busy.
No,
Tools down, game on.
I want that on a shirt. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye.
The weather outside is frightful. Oh, that's sorry. That's
Is it name that tune?
oh, that's terrible. Yes. No.